I want to know, did you always want to be a mom?
To be honest, it came late in the game. I worked on a television show where I moved in with families for a week. And there was a little girl named Lily who had to have been the world's cutest, like 9-year old, however old she was at the time. And I remember thinking, I wonder if I am missing the point. Like, am I going to get to the end of my life and think, damn it, I wish I'd spent more days in the office? So that definitely opened the door. And then in 2010, I went to Africa on vacation. Ended up at an orphanage because I was afraid to bungee jump over the Zambezi River. And there happened to be one across from where we were staying. And this is before I knew or had the knowledge that you're not supposed to go visit orphanages. I just thought, oh, I'll go bring school supplies. But I can't say I'm sorry because it begot the process of pursuing international adoption. That was in Zambia, and Zambia was, and I'm guessing is probably still closed to international adoption. So we began a program in the Congo, wasted a ton of time, got nowhere. And about a year after that, Heidi, my ex, found out that Haiti was open, and then the story actually begins. But that was, I want to say, a year and a half into it at that point.
Was it incredibly frustrating, once you got to this point where you and Heidi said, we want to adopt, we want to do this, to be met with obstacles at what sounds like every turn? How did that
Yeah.
feel?
I don't want to discourage anyone. And the thing of it is, if obstacles like that, and it's expensive as well. International adoption is expensive. I would strongly encourage people. There are 100,000 children in America right now who need to be adopted, whose parental rights have been terminated. Uh, it costs you nothing, and the kids are in need. I decided that I had this additional gift. And I mean, you can call it what you will, judge it how you choose to. But people talk about white privilege. I don't need to touch that, but I've always appreciated American privilege. I always was cognizant of the fact that if I had been born in another country, my dad's Syrian. I knew what was going on in the world in Syria. I mean, if I had been born in Syria as a gay female, I mean, I'd be dead. Dead. I knew that I had this card, this gift I could give, which is citizenship. So I thought, you know what? Being born in America is a gift. Even when you're a child that is, has been through so much and needs to be adopted, being a child in the developing world that needs to be adopted is like, talk about having the odds stacked against you. So I just thought, I've got this awesome gift I can give, and I want to adopt. So why not? I have the means, I have the time, I'm going to do it. But there were certain aspects of it that are difficult unnecessarily.
So I have a friend, and he and his husband had a really hard time because they are a same-sex couple, and they didn't realize going into it how much of an obstacle that would be, and they found that really frustrating. Did you come up against that in certain countries?
Oh, I adopted as a single parent.
Okay.
And in case you didn't notice the timeline, I came out after she was adopted. Um,
And was
uh,
that very much on purpose?
yeah, I just, at the end of the day, I don't, if somebody is passing laws that I think are fundamentally evil, I'm not going to go along with them. I know that I can give my daughter an amazing life. I'm far from the perfect mother, but I know that I can give her an amazing life. And I know that she is loved, and I will give her any and every opportunity that I'm capable of. Uh, and that's just, I mean, no, I'm sorry. Just no. So
Yeah, I hear you.
I adopted as a single parent, and then Heidi adopted her once she was in the States.
Got it. So once you decided on Haiti, what did that process look like?
Um, wow. So this is kind of a bizarre story. We waited, I wish I could remember the exact timeline. I want to say at least 6 months. And in that time, we were probably right around a year and a half. And Heidi was like, okay, I can't with this anymore. Like, we've been together 3 years now. I'm ready to get pregnant. I want a kid. And I was like, all right, I support you. Like if that's how it's meant to be, like great. And if someone wants their own child, like fantastic. I don't care. I'll adopt that kid. You know what I mean? I was like, whatever. Sure, however a kid comes in, if it's not gonna happen, it's not gonna happen. Go ahead. So she begins the process of trying to get pregnant while we switched the paperwork, and we just thought like whatever happens first.
Sure.
So we get this woman, Diana, at All Blessings, contacts me. She's like, oh my God, I've matched you with the perfect child. You're going to flip out. He's 5. He's adorable. He's amazing. And I was like, oh my God, oh my God. Okay. We have a son. We have a son. And for some reason, in my mind, I was like, we do have a son because I always thought I was going to have a daughter.
Okay.
So I was like, all right. Yeah. Yeah. I see it. I see the backpack and the high tops. Totally. Yeah. So I run upstairs and I'm like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. I tell Heidi and she's like, this isn't right. And I was like, what are you talking? What are you talking about? Like, we've been at this for years. What do you mean this isn't right? She's like, I don't know. It's not going to work out. And I was like, are you crazy? Like, did you just bump your head? What do you mean it's not? Like, we, the first fight, I would honestly tell you, most likely that we ever had. And I was like, you're insane. This is nuts. What's the matter with you? I don't even understand what you're talking about. She's like, I'm not saying no. I'm just telling you this isn't going to work. And I was like, okay, let's go to bed. I don't even want to talk to you right now. She wakes up the next morning, comes out of the bathroom with her pregnancy stick. She's pregnant.
Stop it.
And I was like, oh my God, no.
So what did you feel in that moment when she came out with the pregnancy test?
I literally did not know what was up or down because I was like, there's no way I went through a year and a half and I was so committed and I felt that adoption was like suddenly I had this epiphany when I saw that little girl. I was like, this is my calling. This is what I'm supposed to do. So I called Diana at the adoption agency and I was like, okay, we need to have a real talk. I'm gay. I have a partner. She's pregnant as of this morning. And I was like, I don't know, I need to tell you the truth because things have changed.
Right.
So she's like, okay, you know what? I'm not so sure this is a match because I think this little boy needs a family with a father. She's like, but why don't we, because this is not typical. She's like, why don't you go down there on a mission to check out the organization, bring supplies, on a trip, a charity trip of sorts, and just let's see what happens. So we get there, and I don't know, Heidi must have been a month pregnant, maybe. We went a week later, and Heidi's like, "Look, I'm gonna go with you, but I'm just telling you, it's not gonna work." And I was like, "Stop saying that." So we get there, and when we landed, she called me and she's like, you're amazing. I'm not so sure that this is the perfect match." And she's like, "But don't give up." And I was like, "Don't give up." I'm like,
Were you
so
feeling incredibly disappointed? Were
done,
you still
done.
okay, you were feeling
I
done.
wanted to go home. I was like, I don't even want to deal with this. I want to go home because I was like, I don't even want to be here if I'm not taking one of these children with me. Not that that's even a possibility, but I was like, I don't want to feel this way. I want to go home. I'm sitting talking to, I think, one of the women that works there at one of the orphanages, and Heidi comes around the corner holding this little girl. And she's like sobbing. And I'm like, what are you doing, dude? Just stop. Like, I just want to go home. Like, don't do this. Like, let's just go home. And she's like, this is our daughter. This is her. And I was like, no. You don't get to pick a kid. It's illegal.
Yeah.
Like, you can't, it's not a thing. Let's just go home. I want to go home. She's like, just hold her. And I was like, I don't want to hold her. I don't want to hold her. I want to go home. Puts her on my lap, and I literally feel Lou just go shh. And I, in that moment, felt like I got hit by lightning. You know what I mean? Where you're just like, and I was like, oh my God, like this is her. This is her. And I was like, okay.
How
So
old was she at the time?
18 months. So I called Diana, and I was like, okay, I don't even know what you're going to say to this, but there's a little girl Um, and she's ours, I'm sure of it. She's like, Jillian, I'm so, and I was like, Diana, I'm telling you. And she's like, I, I don't even know if she's been adopted. I don't know if she's been matched with someone. And I was like, I am telling you, this is our daughter. So she calls me back the next day and she's like, look, I'm really sorry. Lukensia is going to Germany. And I was like, Germany? Are you sure? She's like, yeah, she's matched. And I was like, are you sure? Because in your mind, you're just like, how could I be so wrong about all of this?
And had you let yourself feel like her mom, or was that even something you were in control of at the moment? Where was your head at?
Quite honestly, I don't even know how to describe it because on one hand, you're like, yay, we're having a kid because Heidi's pregnant. But on the other hand, I'd spent almost 2 years pursuing this path that looked like it wasn't going to work out. So I want to say 2 months later, we were in Japan. I was there for work and I got an email and it just said, I have it somewhere. It was something like either Lukensia is available or I think it was like Lukensia is available. You can be her mom if you want. And I just was like, yes, 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 yes. And it turns out, I to this day don't know the details, but something happened. And her adoption fell through. And Diana was like, we're going to match you with Lou.
So your gut
Um,
instinct was right.
I mean, I got to give it to Heidi because she, I hate to say found her, but she did find her in this place um, amongst, I don't know, 60 kids maybe. And just I don't know. It was bizarre. I wish everything in life was that serendipitous, and that obvious. So now Heidi's 3 months pregnant, and I began to do the investigations with the State Department and to do it's called parquet court, and it was a process,
So
obviously.
tell me a little bit about that process because I think a lot of our listeners are going through this or will be curious. What's involved?
All right, let me try to remember it. What I can tell you is just to do your home study. I had stacks of paperwork. I had to get like letters from the police, chest x-rays, blood work. Like, I don't even, like, they literally crawl inside you and look around. Like, everything and anything you've ever done in your life goes on record. You're investigated. You have home studies. It's like, it took just that. I was like, oh my God, your bank accounts, your tax returns, your medical history, your friends, your family, everything is literally dissected.
After that, how many months was it before you were able to go to Haiti to bring her back to the States?
So each country that is open is different. I'm trying to remember all of the steps, but once you finish the home study and you have a complete dossier, which takes forever, forever. I don't remember how long. I want to say at least 6 months to a year. Then you get matched with a child, and then in Haiti, there's a State Department investigation. You have to go through multiple steps in parquet court, and I think there were 14, and I don't even remember them all. You have to appear in court. If there are birth parents alive, they have to appear. Uh, then it needed to be signed off by the president. If I recall, forgive me, she's 11, so it's been 9 years.
Did Lou have birth parents that you knew of who were alive?
Her mom, her birth mom, and I don't really know that much.
And the timing is such, if I'm right, that it was after the earthquake.
4 months after the earthquake, she was
So her,
pregnant with Lou because it happened in January of 2010 and Lou was born in April of 2010.
that's incredible.
Yeah, so I don't know.
Okay.
And it sucks because I can only tell her what I know. Um, I don't know much.
Yeah. So I imagine this time period where you're going through all of this is a bit of a roller coaster because nothing's a guarantee. And at every turn, it's kind of like, is this going to go well? Were you feeling nervous and anxious? Like, how did you go to sleep at night? How did you kind of keep going with your life with all of this in the backdrop?
God, I mean, I was focused on Heidi's pregnancy. So it was very bizarre. It was like you have these two worlds going on. Like when one, you're watching an ultrasound, and on the other, it's like, okay, we got through this step of stage, 14, and you're like gently emailing and like seeing who knows who. And, oh, I might know somebody in the State Department. Let's see if the State Department has finished the investigation. I'm going to call someone and see where your file is. I mean, I can't even imagine if, because I called anyone and everyone I knew who knew anyone.
Yeah, that's a full-time job too.
And it's also debatable. You could say like, well, that's not ethical. And be honest, I just don't care. Just don't.
And you
I
had
just
your
don't.
girl, you wanted
I
to
don't
bring her
care.
home.
I'm sorry. I wanted her home
Of course. And how many times did you go to Haiti in that 6-ish month period?
twice.
And were you able to see Lou on those visits?
Yeah, and that was probably a mistake. Um,
Was it incredibly difficult to see
oh,
her and then leave?
oh my God. Yeah, it was really hard on her. Um, so
Did she know that you were her mom at that point?
yeah, yeah. So the second time I went, she stayed with me at the guest house. So they called it the guest house. So she wasn't in the orphanage. I'm gonna be hysterical.
Well, I'm already crying, so.
So they kept telling her like, "This is your mama. This is your mama." And so she was like, "Rad, you're my mama." She's like, I don't know. She like knew right away. She's like, "Mama." So I don't remember how many days. It must have been like 3 or 4 days, I think, that she was with me. Like towards the second trip, I think, because the first one she didn't stay with me. I had to go do all this stuff. This second one, she stayed with me. They're like, she can stay with you. Um, and like, here she is with me in this little room, 24/7 with me. I'm feeding her, I'm changing her diapers, I'm holding her, she's sleeping in a bed with me. And this is a child that was in, a very different situation. Um, and so for some reason, I'm like going back to the airport. And she's laying in my lap. And she did not, this kid never was a fussy, like never. And all of a sudden she's like unraveling in the car. And my mom was like, don't freak out. Don't do it. She's like, you're gonna really upset her. You like hold it together. And when you leave, you can call me. So she was screaming and crying and holding on to me. And I had to like, oh, it was the worst. I don't think I would have done it again because it was awful. I'm not so sure it was the best thing. I don't know.
So I want to know like the exact timeline because I had read somewhere that we're talking like 72 hours
If
or
that, if that.
so you
Yeah.
and then I also want to hear about Phoenix's birth and all of that. But so and she has a
Mm.
C-section, right?
Oh my God. The most difficult. I wrote a whole book about what Heidi with 5 different doctors because I found it to be so frustrating, some of the things that she went through.
You come home from the hospital after how many days in the hospital?
God, I want to say 3. Definitely
Okay.
no more than 3. Could have been 2. And then while Heidi was in labor, we got the notification that Lou got her visa.
Stop it. And how did you get that notification? An email, a phone
I have
call?
a photo of Heidi. I mean, it's like with the oxygen mask in the hospital bed, holding up a picture of Lou's visa.
So when you get that notification, do they say like come immediately, come in the next few days? What is that like?
Yep. ASAP. I'm like, oh, okay.
So did you
Hang on.
book a flight from the hospital?
I honestly don't freaking remember.
Are you both sobbing at this point when the email comes through and you see that little photo of Lou?
Heidi had been having a tough time. And I think we were both like, okay, we got to get through this. And Heidi was just not accepting it. It was like, nope, I'm going to do this. And I was like, dude, you're not. You're not going to do it.
You know a lot about people's bodies, what they can handle. Did you have a sense at some point like that a C-section?
Oh, I knew the whole time because she's 95 pounds. She's literally 95 pounds.
And wasn't Phoenix a Big
Huge.
baby.
He was 9 pounds. So I knew, I was like, Heidi, I don't think so, dude. So she was 2 weeks late. Um, and finally they're like, all right, we have to induce you. And so they start out right with the Pitocin drip. Um, I'm trying to remember. They break the water, they strip the membrane, they
God, she went
up,
through it all.
dude, and she's not dilating. We're at hour 13, and the drip I think was at like 25.
Pitocin is the worst.
She's in so much pain, and she won't take painkillers. So
So,
she's
what
like
are you feeling
sobbing.
in this moment?
Oh my God, so frustrated, which is because I'm like, knowing it's not, you know what I mean? I'm knowing that she's going through this for nothing. But it's like for her, I guess, her mind, it's like, I need to do, I get that it's like you need to dot every I and cross every T, but we're ending up like in my mind, I'm like, why are you doing this to yourself? Because it's like, I'm watching her in so much pain. Nothing. She's not dilating. I think she was at maybe 2.5.
This is like exactly what happened to me. I got up to 3, and that was it.
By the time we get to hour 28, she hasn't eaten. She's in so much pain she can't really sleep. Um, Nothing. We're at like a 3.5. She's not dilating. And the nurse comes to me and she's like, okay, she's starting to get a fever. And the baby's heart rate is getting irregular. And I was like, okay. So I called our doctor and I was like, you gotta come. It was at the middle of the night, and I was like, if you don't come, I'm gonna get some NyQuil and some X-Acto blades, and I'm gonna get him out of there. Like, drug her, I'm just out. Like, you gotta come. They wheel Heidi into the little room, and she's like, do you feel anything? And Heidi's like, because she was scared, and she's like, I feel tapping, and she's like, I've already opened your stomach. Like, I'm like, you're fine, it's okay. And I
Did
hear
you
the dog.
watch? Were you looking
Oh
over the
no, no, I hate blood. So I was by her head, and there's the
Yep.
curtain thing, and I was like, oh my God, because like I will legitimately hate blood. So the next thing I know, I hear the doctor go, what a big baby. And she's like, I'm so sorry. Like, I usually make a scar this big. I had to make like a bigger incision. Um, that's the first thing she said. And I was like, okay. So I was like, when is it okay? Because like I was like, if I see intestines or anything, I'm done. I can't. It'll be like out of a movie. They're like, hold on, hold on. So I just remember somehow there was like a person over here and a person over here on the opposite side holding like, and I was like, oh look, there's that little human that's been in there. That's fascinating. Like, it was so surreal. And then they brought him over to the little scale thing, I think it was, and he held my finger.
Oh.
He caught the little umbilical cord, and I was like, whoa.
Did you
So
cut the
bizarre.
cord?
I did cut the cord. I was okay with the cord.
I'm impressed with
Um,
that. If you're saying that you can't handle blood, my husband could not handle that.
the cord I can handle. He was holding my finger, and I just remember being like, look at this. It was just so weird to me to like, look at this little human. This is crazy. Look at it. And then I brought him over to Heidi, and poor thing, she was so sick. They put him on her chest and she threw up. And I was like, oh man, this whole thing is just gone so far south.
Okay, so I want to shift back to Lou's story. So you go, you for the third time to Haiti, you get on the plane, you're with your mom. I would imagine at this point, like, you're sleep deprived, you are exhausted, you're a new mom to Phoenix. What are you feeling when you get on that plane ride?
Oh my God, I was so relieved. I was so glad it was over. It sucked. I just, oh my God, it sucked. I'm sorry. You're like, okay, there's this tiny little human that is for the most part alone in the world, and anything can happen to her. And I mean anything. She can get bit by a malarial mosquito, right? She can get bad microbe in her water. Like, this happens in the developing world. Like, we all know this. Um, anything, a hurricane, who knows? It sucks. I would never change it, but yeah, wow,
When
not
did
fun.
you allow yourself to feel relief and exhale? Was it when you got on the plane, when you got the
That
email, when you
visa,
saw? Yeah.
the visa, I was like, we're done. Because it's like, she's American, game over. She is a citizen. She belongs to the United States of America. She's also a Haitian citizen, but it's like, that's it. It's over. She's mine. It's official. That child belongs to me. So at that point, you're like, all right, I just got to get there now. I just got to get there.
So tell me about going to the orphanage.
Oh my God, I almost forgot this. So they told her I was coming, and I run in, I pick her up. She runs to me, gives me this big hug, and then pulls away from me and smacked me in the face.
Why?
She was super pissed about the fact that I had left, and then hugged me again. Um, and I mean, that child did not leave my side. Jesus, I don't even know. 6 months? Did not leave my side. So, like, if I showered, she'd be outside the shower door, screaming on the shower door, "Mama, Mama!" And I was like, "Dude, like, right here, right here, buddy." Or like when I went through security, I don't know why. I think I put her down to take some stuff off, and she climbed me,
Oh.
and I was like, "Okay, we're okay." And she'd wake up in the middle of the night, and and she'd be like, stand up on her crib, and she's like, "Mama," and I was like, right, I'm here, I'm right here, buddy." Like throughout the night for I don't know how long.
Do you remember what Lou was wearing on the plane ride home?
Yes, pink jeans and a white tank top and some little sneakers sitting on my lap because I have a picture of that too. And like she was just the boss.
So
I
tell me
know.
about when
I
you
was,
introduced the siblings. I want to know, like when
oh,
you brought Lou home, Phoenix is, days old.
she literally like walked over because he was in this little like crib and she like pointed at him like, "Who? What is that?"
Had you told her on the flight home?
She didn't speak any English. She knew mama, because I say mama in Haiti. I couldn't say like, "Oh, you have a brother." She was just like, "What is this smushy creature? What? I don't understand. Look at it." So, she didn't think much. The dogs freaked her out. She was like, she hadn't seen dogs before. So it was all kind of an adjustment. The bathtub, she was like, "Woo!"
Wow, I hadn't even thought of all of those things that she'd be exposed to for the first time.
I definitely, I don't know, like I do miss, like, she was so cute. She came home from her first day of school today and she's like, I guess one of the teachers asked her what she thought her best quality was. And she's like, "I'm very empathetic." And the teacher was like, "You're the first kid to say that today." And I was like, "Well,
Oh, that's beautiful.
you are very empathetic. You have many amazing qualities. That is one."
That's really sweet.
Yeah, she's,
And you mentioned that at some point when she's ready, you'll bring her back to Haiti. Do you have a sense of when that might be?
we've talked about it and no, she's just not there. She did say to me, "Do you think God made me forget?" Something like, "Do you think," because she doesn't remember any of it, obviously. She's like, "Do you think God made me forget because it's too painful or something like that or hurt too much?" This is years ago when she said that to me. And I just, honestly, I was like, maybe. Right now, she really just wants to be an American kid. She doesn't know anything else. She's an American kid.
Sure.
So I don't know that she's necessarily looking for something to make her feel any different than that, if that makes any sense.
That makes sense.